Hey everyone, buckle up because we are diving headfirst into a major business deal today.
We're talking acquisitions, buyouts, and billion-dollar moves.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. We're breaking down the news about the Barnes Group getting acquired, and trust me, this is way more interesting than your average business headline.
All right, I'm all ears.
Okay, so picture this. Barnes Group, they're involved in everything from aerospace parts to medical equipment, right?
I know Barnes Group, pretty diverse.
Exactly. So they're getting acquired by this private equity giant, Apollo Global Management.
Apollo, big players.
Huge. And they're shelling out a cool $3.6 billion. That's billion with a B.
Whoa, that's a hefty price tag.
It is. And it gets even crazier. They're paying a 22% premium over Barnes' show price.
Someone sees some serious potential there.
Right. That's what makes this so interesting. This isn't just a standard acquisition. Someone's betting big on Barnes Group.
And to add to that, you mentioned this is happening quickly.
Oh, yeah. Super fast. They're expecting to finalize the whole thing in just a few months.
Wow, that's a tight timeline for such a major deal.
Exactly. So we've got a high-stakes purchase, a super fast timeline. What does it all mean?
Well, this kind of swift acquisition by a private equity firm, especially one like Apollo, often means big changes are coming.
Big changes, like what?
We're talking restructuring, shifting strategies, maybe even some rebranding. Private equity firms like Apollo, they're all about unlocking value, maximizing profits.
So it's like taking a company, taking it off the public market, and then behind closed doors, giving it a complete makeover.
Exactly. They have more freedom to make big moves without worrying about public scrutiny or quarterly reports.
Interesting. So they're essentially hitting the reset button on Barnes Group.
In a way, yes. They're going to try and optimize it for maximum profitability.
But here's something that I found interesting. The article mentioned that analysts at D.A. Davidson, they actually downgraded Barnes' stock after the acquisition news came out.
Oh, that does seem a bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Usually a buyout is good news for stock prices.
Right. You'd think so, but apparently there are some concerns.
Like what?
Well, D.A. Davidson is pointing to a few things. First, they're saying that Barnes' core industrial sector is facing a slow L-shaped recovery, meaning a slow rebound initially, followed by a long period of stagnant growth, so not exactly a booming forecast.
Right, I see.
On top of that, remember all that restructuring we talked about? Well, a lot of it is focused on Barnes' European operations, and that comes with its own set of challenges.
Makes sense. Europe's economic landscape is quite complex.
Definitely. And if that wasn't enough, remember the Boeing machinists strike that's been going on?
I've heard about that, yeah.
Well, Barnes supplies parts to Boeing, so that whole situation is creating uncertainty and impacting Barnes as well.
So it's like a chain reaction of potential downside.
Exactly. And to add another layer of intrigue, Barnes is going private after this deal. No more New York Stock Exchange for them.
That's a big step. What do you think that means for the company? Less transparency? No more quarterly earnings calls?
It's definitely going to be a whole new ballgame. Going private gives Apollo a lot more freedom to reshape Barnes, and they don't have to answer to public shareholders anymore.
It'll be interesting to see what their long-term vision for Barnes is.
Right. What are they going to prioritize? Because Barnes has its hands in so many different industries. Aerospace, healthcare, consumer goods, you name it.
Well, I did notice the article mentioned Barnes' plans to expand their aerospace operations.
Yes. And remember that quote from Apollo? They were talking about long-term aerospace demand trends. It seems like they're placing a bet on that sector, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. Aerospace is a huge industry with a lot of growth potential.
Yeah.
Apollo might be thinking that acquiring Barnes gives them a strategic advantage in that market. It's like they're playing chess, thinking several moves ahead.
Absolutely. And we're talking billions of dollars, potentially massive restructuring, and what seems like a calculated gamble on the future of aerospace. It's a high stakes.
High stakes indeed.
So to everyone listening, we've uncovered a lot today, from billion-dollar deals to potential industry shifts. What's your take on all of this? What has you thinking? What questions do you have? This is a complex situation with far-reaching implications, so keep those brains buzzing.